Now, Umalusi has raised concern over the mushrooming of bogus online schools. The quality assurer is also warning people against buying fake certificates. But for more on these concerns, we're joined by Umalusi's Biki Lepota this morning. Thank you so much for your time, Biki, and good morning to you. I think it's concerning but equally helpful that we have this conversation now because if someone has written their June exams with an online school, so to speak, the question is, will those results be legit? Are they accredited with Umalusi? Do they have reason to be concerned whether or not that school could be bogus or not? Good morning.
Thank you, Dumelo, and good morning to you and your viewers. That's a very important question. We need to clarify that currently there is no regulation for online provisioning. So currently there are ongoing discussions between Umalusi and the relevant regulatory bodies. There are online schools as we speak, which are registered with private assessment bodies. And by private assessment bodies, we are talking about the Independent Examinations Board, as well as the South African Comprehensive Assessment Institute. Those are legitimate online assessment, online schools which have been granted concessions. It does not end there. If an online school has entered into a contractual agreement with either Sakai or IB, that has to be escalated to Umalusi. In other words, the relevant assessment body will have to apply for a concession with Umalusi for such an institute or an online center to be given permission to administer examinations. What does that mean? That means that the private assessment body concerned takes responsibility for the school-based assessment to ensure that it is conducted in line with policy. So if there is anyone who wrote the June examinations at an institution which has no arrangement with either the IB or Sakai, those are the learners who have to be concerned. For 2023, Umalusi has not received any application for concessions to be granted as we speak.
That is concerning because even though you reiterate where you lie in terms of online schools, the process and procedures that need to be followed by schools to ensure that they are accredited, we can't deny the mushrooming of these bogus schools going to an extent of selling fake certificates to unassuming victims, but also enrolling them in non-existing programs. That's concerning. So take me through some of the cases that I understand you have already tabled before the South African Police Service.
Yes, it's very concerning to Umalusi as it is to the members of the public that there are some institutions which are illegal because they are not registered anywhere and not recognized, who admitted learners into non-existing programs, and they have taken their money and they've issued them with fake registration letters bearing the logo of Umalusi. And the specific cases that we are talking about, yes, have been referred to the South African Police Services for further investigation. So the concern that we have with respect to such institutions is that they take people's money and they waste people's money. More concerning is that upon the parents of those learners going back to those institutions inquiring as to when they would receive their results, the owners of such illegal institutions said to the parents and the learners alike that your certificates have been applied for through Umalusi, but Umalusi is dragging its feet. What we are wanting to inform the members of the public of now is that Umalusi does not accredit any online institutions as we speak, because there is no legislation, and we do not deal directly with online examination centers as those interface with accredited assessment bodies. Yes, it is a concern because by enrolling yourself with an institution which does not exist, you are wasting your time, you are wasting your money. And it is a serious problem which requires the attention of everybody in the country. The law enforcement agencies need to ensure that they do what they are mandated to do. As members of the public, we need to continue educating each other that for you to know whether an institution is registered with the assessment body, they need to check with either the IEB or Sakai. And if they are wanting to know if an independent school is accredited, they simply visit the Umalusi website, www.umalusi.org.za, and they click on the icon labeled accredited institution. And if you type the name of an institution which you are interested in enrolling yourself with, if it is accredited, then the name will pop out, and it will also indicate where the institution is it's situated in terms of its physical address, as well as the owners of such an institution and the programs or the certificate for which the institution is accredited.
An important task to do that background check, just to ensure that you are, registered with a legitimate institution. However, we made mention of June exams, and I just wonder what the modus operandi is for these bogus online schools. I mean, surely there are exams and exam papers that they hand over to these learners. Where do they come from, these exam papers? Because I can imagine to unassuming or unsuspecting victims, they probably look legitimate.
That's a very important question. In terms of the mandate of Umalusi, we are responsible for quality assuring the examination papers that are set by the assessment bodies. Here, we are talking about the Department of Basic Education. We are also talking about the private assessment bodies, which are the IEB and Sakai. So those bodies put together, or they set the question papers, and then the question papers get sent to Umalusi for quality assurance purposes. So Umalusi puts a stamp of approval upon satisfying itself that the question papers meet the standard. And it is the assessment bodies that administer the question papers. In terms of the cases that we are dealing with together with the police, what we've uncovered is that the online schools, in inverted commas, they actually went to the websites of the provincial education departments, and they copied those question papers. They blocked out the identification of the province on the question paper, and they photocopied those question papers, administered them to unsuspecting learners. And then learners thought they were writing legitimate question papers. And that's when the learners and the parents alike went back to the institution to inquire as to when they would receive their certificates. That's when people started raising this sort of concerns to say we are not receiving satisfactory responses from these institutions. So that is the process. A question paper will bear the logo of the department if it is a legitimate question paper. If it is a question paper administered by a private assessment body, it will bear the logo of such a private assessment body.
This is so concerning. It sounds very well thought through, just in terms of some of these, fake, bogus institutions. But also, lastly, before I let you go, Mr. Lepota, I mean, you're also making a call to, employers in the public and private sectors to also equally check, right, these qualifications. It's not just the owners being on the learners or their parents to ensure that they are enrolled with legitimate institutions, but this could affect or rather impact that learner's future potential employer, because if they look up on the system that you are not, registered under, any of Umalusi's registered institutions, that could cost you a possibility of being employed or employable.
That's correct. Yes, we are making a call to all employers in both the public and private sectors to ensure that they continuously make use of the verification service that Umalusi offers. And we have signed a contract with various over 20 verification agencies, which agencies are able to verify any certificate for which Umalusi is legislatively mandated to quality assure. Here I am talking about the National Senior Certificate, the National Certificate Vocational, the General Education and Training Certificate, commonly known as the ABET certificate, as well as the N2 and N3 certificates. So if you are wanting to ensure or to authenticate legitimacy thereof, you go to the website of Umalusi, www.umalusi.org.za, and you click on the icon labeled verification and certificates. There you will find the list together with the contact details of such verification agencies. Just make sure that you make use of this, because if you don't, it may prove to be a very costly thing for you to employ somebody today and then have to deal with the consequences thereafter.
Thank you so much for speaking to us about this, and hopefully learners and parents alike will do the right thing and check in with any of those online institutions. Biki Lepota, Public Relations Manager at Umalusi, thank you so much for speaking to me this morning.